Good afternoon, Jason. Today we're going to be talking about podcasts. But before we get into that, today's the 4th day that you'll have been a vegetarian for, so good job. Hopefully you're not failing at this challenge. So the reason why I want to talk about podcasts is because it seems like that's where everyone's going these days. A really good friend of mine who I used to go to for a lot of new music now only listens to podcasts as opposed to actually getting new music and putting on his iPod or iTunes or whatever. And a lot of YouTubers I also really like are starting to use podcasts just as much as their YouTube channel or any other form of media that they're currently on. I personally don't like podcasts. I'm a big fan of listening on songs to repeat, which is hard to do on a podcast because it's so long, it's finding hard the exact time. And also, if I'm going to listen to something that long, I'd like to have something visual as well, like a YouTube video or a movie or a show or something. I also haven't really ever been brought up with the idea of radio, so I'm not used to just sitting down and listening to something for a really long time. Neither of my parents had cars growing up. Something that I do think I would enjoy is if car radio evolved more into something that was based around a podcast. Many popular podcasts already are just replays of very good radio shows, so I don't see why that can't be more integrated with the car system. Imagine someone had a radio show that they started at 5 p.m. every day. Let's call this person Jacob. Now imagine you're someone who drives home from work at 5:25 every day, and you really like Jacob's radio show, but you don't like having to join in halfway through. What I'm suggesting is, if it's a podcast, then what can happen is, when you join at 5:25, you can just start at the beginning of the podcast that had started at 5, and eventually you'll finish 25 minutes after Jacob finishes his original radio show, but you can still listen to the whole thing. I think it would revolutionize the radio business because it would allow radio shows that are well produced and popular with good hosts and good music and good selections to become more standardized, and it would allow radio to start regaining its seat in music and entertainment media outside of the car. But to be honest, I'm a huge fan of music, and I'm really curious about what kind of direction it's going to go in the future. We've seen the transition from hard copies of music like CDs, albums, cassettes, 8-tracks, into something that's all online. I mean, who really has a CD collection anymore who's under the age of 25? And we've seen that paying for music online doesn't usually work out with things like Napster and LimeWire, for those of you who remember that, and Spotify is the modern representation. The biggest issue is that obviously musicians need to get paid. And I know my friends would be happy to support any musician that they listen to the music of, but they also don't want to pay $1 or $2 for every song. I don't know enough about the music industry to really predict about where it's going to go, but I can see it evolving into a Netflix type situation where it's a subscription based network. That way the musicians still get paid, but people have access to unlimited music, basically. The last thing I want to talk about today is a new segment I'm going to call the YouTuber of the Week. The YouTuber of this week is Andrew Huang. I discovered this guy recently through a friend of mine. Andrew is a musician YouTuber who can make a song out of anything and can also rap. He's got 250,000 subscribers and has been YouTubing since roughly 2006. My favorite video of his is a rap he did in 5/4 time, which to anyone who knows rap or music or time signatures is pretty amazing. He also does it really well. So I've linked his channel and that video in the description below. The reason why I want to have this segment is because I feel like other YouTubers don't really talk about their inspirations much, and the only reason why I'm here today is because I've been watching YouTube so much for so long that I just wanted to get in on the act. Anyways, that's it for today, Jason. Hope you're having a good time with the vegetarianism. I'll see you on Sunday, but until then, I'll catch you in the funny pages.